Greetings everybody. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a short video on the process of polishing a headlamp. So here's what happens. Your headlamps, I'm drawing this because today I'm going to be doing it on a Z3. It's a Z3 coupe, so it kind of looks funny, but that's kind of how it looks. What ends up happening is as the sun beats down, the UV rays ends up clouding the headlamps. Okay, so therefore reducing visibility, reducing the light that comes out of the light bulb, and it looks pretty terrible. So what we're going to do is from the surface, so if we're looking at it, if you're looking at the light from, right now the headlamp is facing us, but if we tilt it this way, then what we're looking at is here you have the surface of the lamp, and as the sun beats down on it, you get these, what I call scratches, okay, and then dirt and grime gets in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with 500 grit. We're going to move to 800, then we're going to go to 1200, then we're going to go to a rubbing compound, and then we're going to go to a polishing compound, or polishing step. Alright, so we're going to use basically we're going to use a sander to make the job a lot easier. Some people, they will skip this step, and sometimes go directly to a clear coat. I don't particularly like that. The reason why I don't like that is the clear coat will peel in a couple years and it'll look 10 times worse, and then we're going to have to do the job again, and it's going to be a lot harder to remove the clear coat starting from the sanding and starting the whole process over again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go this step. Now this is not a permanent fix. There really isn't a permanent fix. It's just going to keep happening. It shouldn't take more than, should take about 10 years before it happens again. That's why you see it on most cars that are pretty old, unless the cars are in the desert or if they're beaten up and sandblasted. That's when, this will occur quicker. But here on the East Coast, we're in Maryland, in most cases, depending on the quality of a car, the lens should remain pretty clear for about 10 years. Once we've done this polishing step, I'd say about 5 to 10 years. It should last a long time. So what we do is with the 500 grit, we're going to try to smooth out as much as we can with the surface. Okay, that's step one. That's going to remove all the crud. Step number two, that's 800 grit. Okay, that's designed to remove the scratches from the 500 grit. And then the 1200 grit is designed to remove the scratches from the 800 grit. And the rubbing compound is designed to remove the scratching from the 1200 grit. And the polishing is the final step, and that's just going to do the final polishing to remove the scratches and the micro scratches is from the rubbing compound. So when it's all done, you're going to have a nice, clean, smooth surface. Now, there's different price points for different type of headlights because, some types of headlights, like I have an E36 318 Ti I did the other day, the lamp is pretty easy. It's just a pretty square lamp, except there's two little, divots in them, or nipples in them. I guess they do that in the factory so that you can rest it down on the lens and it won't scratch the lens. So you just kind of have to work around those. But these are easy. It's a pretty flat surface. When you get into, for example, the Z3 we're going to do today, it's got a curved surface. So it's going to be a lot more work. We have to tape off everything around it to protect it so we don't actually scratch any paint. We just need to be as thorough as we can and be as careful as we can. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the next step, and I'll show you on the car. We're going to be taping it off, and see you in a minute. Alright guys, so like I talked about, we got a Z3 here, and As you can see, the headlights are pretty faded. And this is what I talked about. You know, this thing, unfortunately this car did not have a garage when it got parked. So, you know, the headlamps pretty much took a pretty good beating. So this is the before. So, I'll come right back. Alright guys, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this car prepped. So we can go ahead and polish these headlights. Just the amount of work I have to do, the better. So I'm just going to open up the hood, just get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to end up detailing the inside of the car anyway, so what I'm doing here is I want to try to avoid getting splatter and scratches anywhere around the car. So get this thing off. Use that later. So what we're doing here, see, I don't know if this is going to zoom in or not, but this is a, you know, Blue Point. It's a snap-on. It's basically just a, I guess you can call it a sander with a 3-inch disc pad attached to it. This is flexible, so that when I go to sand, it doesn't gouge too much into the paint. And then what I'm going to be using here is 3M, what they call finish, or basically sanding discs. Alright, I'm going to start with 500, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm going to be doing a wet sanding, so that that'll lower the temperature, and also, you know, when I start sanding this, it's going to fill up the discs. And when you use water to wash that away, it's going to make the disc last a little bit longer. It's going to be a lot easier, and, you know, safer for the plastic finish here. So this is a 500, and from there I'm going to go to 800. After that I'm going to go to the 1200, and there's a rubbing compound, and then what they call a machine polish. So these bottles are actually labeled 1, 2, so that way you know what order they go into. Bottom line is, keep in mind, polish will always be your last step. So, where's my water bottle? Get my water bottle here. So today I'm not doing this in the main part of the shop because, one, this is going to make a bit of noise. I don't want to bother all the other people, and there's a lot of other noise in the shop that when I'm talking you're not going to be able to hear me, and I do like the sound of my own voice. So start by taping it up. Well, that didn't work. I like to put it underneath, just make straight lines, and then build on that. All we're doing here is doing the best we can to protect the paint finish on the bumper. Well, the whole bumper wraps around here, so that way when I go to disc, when I go to hit it, you know, it'll sacrifice the paper before it sacrifices the, you know, hits the paint. So get my air hose. I suppose you could do this by hand, but that's going to take forever. And frankly, if you're a professional, you have air anyways, so it really shouldn't be a problem. Alright. This particular tool has a device on the bottom here. It's going to regulate the speed, basically the air flowing through the gun. And I can, regulate it by turning the knob here. So there's also an adjustment on the top here. I like to set it on low. Kind of really no faster than that, but you can also use your finger here to squeeze the trigger at varying speeds. So let's get started. When you're doing this, don't stay in one spot at the same, for a long time, because, well, you're going to burn the plastic, and then that's going to be, it's going to be a pain in the butt to redo everything. So I'm going to start on a corner here, get it nice and wet, get the disc wet, and see you on the flip side. Move the camera over to this side. You can see better there. Hopefully it's not out of focus. See? It had all a bunch of plastic in there. And just by spraying it, just fell right off the piece. So this is going to be messy. I'm going to be splattering stuff all over the place, but this car is going to get detailed afterwards, so it doesn't really matter. See this pasty stuff? That's just the plastic that's coming off. So what you're doing is, you can see over here the plastic's kind of yellowish. That's the dirt from the lens. So you'll see that stuff will come off, and we're going to do this until the paste is white. Until it's nice and white. Right now it's still yellow, but you'll see. Keep it wet. As you can see, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so right now I'm going this way, and it's going to put scratches like this, and I'm going to come back this way. It's going to do scratches like that, and then up, down, so that way it's just all evenly scratched. You don't put pressure here. You just let the just rest the surface, the sanding surface, on the lens. That's all you need to do. Don't do all at the same time. Go over the whole lens, and then come back, and you'll see the areas you need to come back on. Yeah, and you can spray, and then you can kind of see what you've done so far. And you see all I'm doing is rubbing off, getting rid of the crud that's stuck in the disc. So there I've done one pass over the whole headlamp. I'm going to go at it again. This time I'm going to try to do the best I can to, you know, just go in a different direction. Sometimes it doesn't allow you, like for example down here I can't go that way because I'll be cutting too much, it's too steep of an angle.